Dinosaurs and man, two species separated by 65 million years of evolution, have just been suddenly thrown back into the mix together.
Could it be true? Are dinosaurs still roaming the Earth? And could they be in, of all places, the mountains near Lake Tahoe?
The first thought that entered my mind was, I've disturbed something which I shouldn't have disturbed, something which should have been left alone.
Frank Sharrow is a building contractor from Gardnerville, Nevada. He and his wife Camille claim that they found a living, breathing, prehistoric creature. This is going to be good.
We were excavating for utility lines, service lines, and that's where we came across the find. What I saw inside of it changed my life, will probably change my life for as long as I walk this planet. There were 5 large eggs, 2 of which were crusted up shells, broken shells, 2 of which were intact, and a 3rd one was broken, and that is the egg that contained a living animal.
Frank says he quickly called his wife Camille over so that she could snap these pictures. Sadly, they say the living creature died that day.
It just struggled to stay alive, struggled for breath, and then it died.
But fear not, there were still 2 eggs left. The Sharrows quickly transported the dead carcass and their prize eggs back to a shed located behind their house. Ever guess what happened next?
The eggs that were in our tool shed hatched, and whatever was inside of them escaped. When they hatched, they went through that sheet metal wall like it was paper. I mean, they went through it. They didn't claw their way out of it. They didn't bite their way out of it. They blew through it.
Understandably, Frank and Camille were dumbfounded by what they say happened to them, but they understand the seriousness of their find.
Think about the ramifications. Think about it. I mean, panic. You know what, panic and people, the first thing, the biggest thing that struck us, we don't want people out there shooting each other.
So naturally, they called not National Geographic, not the New York Times. They went to the Weekly World News, their favorite paper.
We're avid readers of the Weekly World News, and they deal in this sort of unordinary type stories.
You know, stories like this one about a vampire being alive today. The editors knew that the fossils were a journalistic discovery.
Down the road, you might find yourself with a whole nest of them, maybe 5 to 10 to 15 to 20. They may reproduce like rabbits.
Sure. Well, after the article, Frank and Camille became celebrities. They turned up on TV shows everywhere. One of them was John and Lisa.
It's too strange to believe.
I was sucked in, and I thought, man, these look like very, very normal people. Why do they have any reason to come on our show and pretend that they found the raptors?
By the end of their interview, John and Lisa say that they didn't believe the story, so we decided to go straight to the source. The dino source, that is. We paid a visit to Frank and Camille's hometown. We were on a dinosaur hunt.
You seen any dinosaurs around town?
Come on, you gotta be kidding.
You're not afraid to go out at night?
No.
No fear?
No.
No fear of an Allosaurus coming up and biting you?
No.
Knowing what I know, I'm sure as hell not going to go up there without a weapon with me.
As for the Sharrows, all they seem to have are the pictures of these things. They say that they gave the dinosaur carcass and all the eggs to a dinosaur expert sent to them by the Weekly World News, who told them that it was an Allosaurus, a man-eater, so you know it must be true. But there's one problem. He's in Africa and no one can seem to find him. They say there was another person on the dig site with them, a laborer. Okay, finally someone who can back up their story.
I just call him Bob. I don't want to give a last name. But he's was working with us on that day, and he wanted no part of anything. He's gone. Last I heard, he was in Los Angeles.
Rats. They say they called the sheriff's department. Perfect. They can help us.
I don't think I should give the officer's name without his permission.
Double rats. They must have called the wrong sheriff's office because the one that covers their county never heard from them. Wait a second, I know. Let's take a look at the shed with the hole. Oh yeah, I forgot. It's gone.
I got rid of the shed for the simple reason that the animals might have returned to the place of their origin, the place of their birth.
Well, we found our own dinosaur expert. He says that to make an egg, you need a mom. And that's one mom you couldn't miss.
I think this is perfectly crazy. This is one of the most absurd claims I've ever heard. And until we have evidence, it really isn't believable.
So our dinosaur hunt failed. We found nothing. But you know, it's not so bad. We've waited 60 million years to see one. What's a few more?
These animals, if there's any intelligence to them, who knows what they are? Who knows that they don't have our scent? Who knows that one night I'm going to hear a noise out that window and there's going to be something out there that I don't want to see?
Roswell, New Mexico was settled by cowboys, but now it's known for something very different.
Most people think there's something happened here.
I'm not really sure what happened, but obviously something happened.
Something crashed. Evidence shows that probably it was an extraterrestrial craft.
Did a UFO crash on this site 70 miles northwest of Roswell in July of 1947? Were extraterrestrial beings recovered in a top-secret military operation? Or did the wreck of a then-classified spy balloon turn into one of the tallest tales of all time?
I personally feel that there was a crash of some unidentified flying object that I feel came from outer space somewhere.
Lieutenant Walter Hott was public relations officer at Roswell Army Airfield in July of 1947, when he received an order that would change his life.
Put out a press release that we have in our possession a flying saucer.
Hott's release was based on findings by Army crash site investigator, the late Major Jesse Marcel.
I was amazed at what I saw. The amount of debris that was scattered over such an area.
Pieces of that debris were very unusual, according to Marcel's son.
They had what appeared to be writing on the inner surface of them. This writing consisted of various types of geometric figures.
The headlines from Roswell ignited a firestorm of curiosity.
Phones were ringing as if the world was coming to an end. Everybody wanted to know all the details about this flying discs that we had in our possession.
But one day later, the High Command, through General Roger Ramey, said the big story was hot air, that Major Marcel's debris was nothing more than a wrecked weather balloon. And for many years, the Roswell incident remained shrouded in secrecy.
This is a military town. You didn't talk a lot about strange things that happened that the military might be involved with.
Roswell native Stan Crosby has led recent efforts to promote the town's strange past.
We can't always choose what we're famous for. Roswell is famous for the Roswell Incident.
Back in 1947, if the government told you to shut up for national security reasons, you did it.
Roswell's International UFO Museum is drawing throngs to its new quarters.
The major draw of this museum is the mystery. Everyone loves the mystery, and this is one of the biggest mysteries in our history of the world.
Yeah, that thing that you found in New Mexico. Dad. What was that? Not the spaceship. Was that Roswell? Roswell, New Mexico, yeah. No, you had the spaceship and you had the bodies.
Hollywood has done its share to enhance the Roswell mystique, but the truth remains elusive.
My interest is finding the government's file on the subject of what happened in Roswell in 1947.
In 1994, New Mexico Congressman Steven Schiff asked the Pentagon for answers. The Air Force replied that it was not a weather balloon that crashed, but a top-secret spy balloon, Project Mogul, used to monitor Soviet nuclear testing.
Air Force research did not locate or develop any information that the Roswell incident was a UFO event, nor any indication of a cover-up.
UFO researchers like Roswell expert Stanton Friedman remain skeptical.
It's a whitewash. It's a lie. It's a continuation of lies that various Air Force officers have been making about flying saucers since 1947.
I know something happened out there.
Summoned to the airbase on the night of the crash, retired Roswell mortician Glenn Dennis says he encountered a terrified nurse.
She screamed, said, "Go ahead and get out of here as fast as you can."
The TV movie Roswell recreated what she told him later.
I saw the bodies.
What bodies?
They were fetus-shaped.
4 fragile fingers with little, like, pads on the end. They only had 2 orifices for the nose. They didn't have a bridge or anything like us. They didn't have earlobes. They had 2 ear canals. The mouth was only like 1 inch, no teeth. no esophagus and all that.
50 years later, Roswell is enjoying its bizarre notoriety, and that's okay with new Mayor Tom Jennings.
It's been a real economic boom to our community. It's filled up a lot of motels.
So as long as the mystery continues, people will continue to go to Roswell.
I don't think that we'll ever know all of the truth.
The movie Jaws is now a classic, but in real life, this man caught the largest shark ever. He is 43-year-old Vic Hislop. Hislop is a shark killer, a man who pits himself against the man-eaters, capturing them and killing them, afterwards selling the sharks' parts. You see, Vic Hislop hates killer sharks.
I look at them and I think, what have you done? How many dolphins and whales and seals, and have you taken any people? You know, I think this, yeah, exactly.
His take-no-prisoners approach has greatly upset the Australian authorities.
Well, I find that people like that a bit of a environmental menace.
Nonsense, says Hislop, who charges that killer sharks are swimming rampant, killing hundreds of people each year.
There's multi-millions of them. The trouble is we've got goody-goodies, right? When they want to prove a point, suddenly saying, now I love sharks, we must save them, they're beautiful creatures. You know, but that has got nothing to do with these sharks that will tear people apart.
How many people do you think a year are killed by sharks here in Australia?
Hundreds of people a year. Definitely.
Really?
Oh, definitely.
On average, we get approximately one or just under one person per year killed by sharks.
They're covering it up. There's really needs a big investigation into it. It's incredible what they're covering up.
Hislop says the government is afraid tourists will not come to Australia's lovely waters if the shark danger is known. So they classify all missing persons cases on the seas as drowning incidents. Hislop believes most people who turn up missing are taken by sharks. And to prove his point, he took us out to catch a tiger shark he said was lurking close to divers on the barrier reef. As the sun went down, Hislop watched his depth meter to make sure his 30-foot boat did not run aground on the reef. Then, suddenly, a big strike.
Ah! There's a mongrel reel, this I'll tell you.
The shark was on the line for just a flash, freeing itself by biting right through the bait.
What kind of shark do you think took that bait?
It looks like a tiger shark took it.
Hislop believed the shark was still in the area, so we waited. And it soon became apparent that Vic was incredibly similar to the Robert Shaw character in Jaws, right down to the shark stories.
What happened? Didn't see the first shark for about half an hour. Tiger. I bumped into a friend of mine, Herbie Robinson from Cleveland. Baseball player. Well, he'd been bitten in half below the waist.
And it was the Kukas family, a father and two sons, just a little bit further north. Now, they were actually in an aluminium dinghy in rough weather, and it was swamped, and tiger sharks attacked that dinghy. They put their teeth through the sides of it. First, they grabbed the father as he got washed over a bit, bit him off at the waist. The two sons held the top half of their father, right, until they couldn't hold him any longer. They were exhausted, and they had to let him go, and the sharks got him straight away. And then the eldest son was taken also over the side of the dinghy.
It took 20 hours, but early in the morning, Hislop nailed his shark.
And you don't have any tears in your eyes?
No, I'm not crying, am I?
As the shark was being raised out of the water, danger flashed. Another tiger.
The size of the bar.
Here he comes.
The shark was huge and menacing. He circled, then went under the boat. But after a few moments, the shark swam away.
And the way I look at it, every one of these that I thin out could save human lives.
And so, this modern-day Captain Ahab continues his search and destroy missions along the Great Barrier Reef, his obsession with killer sharks growing with every one he eliminates, leaving one wondering just who is the most dangerous creature in these waters.
I love the movie Rosemary's Baby, and I was always very intrigued with how the baby would look since they never fully showed the baby, and the black crib and everything in the living room was just gorgeous to me. So I always wanted to have a little demon baby in a black crib in my living room. Now I do. So
It's a collection that might have some people running for the hills. More than 500 dolls, each one scarier than the next. Marilyn Mansfield of New York City has spent tens of thousands of dollars on the uniquely horrifying collection over the last 10 years. She takes care of them like they were her children.
They really are like a part of the family.
Luckily for her, everyone in the house, her husband and 2 children, are also into the collection. Can you imagine how hard it would be to wake up here if you weren't?
The first time I had seen a Crypt Kitty like this one was at a horror convention, and I fell in love with how it looked so kind of demonic but yet cute. And I've always been like into horror movies and stuff like that, so I just thought it was a perfect combination of scary and cute mixed together. And I'm a huge fan of dolls, been collecting them my whole life, so it was like everything in one. This is actually my first handmade Crypt Kitty, they're called. And this is little Marilyn Mansfield that my husband had made to look like me. What intrigues me about the demon babies and the horror babies is that they're complete fantasy. I mean, obviously, you know, babies don't have horns and fangs and things, but, you know, they're just fun. To me, it's just fun, and it's a piece of art, you know, because they are created by hand and all painted by hand. And it's really like, you know, just like a macabre piece of art to me. My horror collection is pretty extensive. I have, I would say, about 20 handmade Crypt Kitties, and they were all within hundreds of dollars. So they do get expensive. Now I make the zombie babies, which are reborns that I kind of zombify. So now I can make my own and stuff. To me, though, Crypt Kitties are the best when it comes to the horns and fangs and everything. So, I mean, if I wanted one like that, I would totally just get another Crypt Kitty. My favorite one is Carol Ann. She's a Crypt Kidlet, and yeah, she was kind of pricey. I got her years ago, and she was $800. The horror-related reborns and the more natural-looking reborns, the same care goes into both of them. I mean, they have to, you know, be dusted, and I change them. The hair has to be brushed, conditioned, that sort of thing. It depends, though, like if they have a wig or rooted hair. It's like all different things. The eyes you might want to clean with like a damp Q-tip. Just little things like that, you know, just to keep them in pristine condition, which I do. So it's usually some part of the day every day because there's just so many of them. And to do them all in one day would just be way too much. So there's not a day that goes by that I'm not doing something with the dolls. It's every single day. I remember one time I was walking with Chucky, and someone asked me, what would you do if Chucky came alive? And I said, I'd be thrilled. I was never like one of those scared kids or anything. I would wish they would come alive. It's probably weird to some people, but you know, that's just me.